Hey everybody, it's the interview queen Alicia Atout here, and it is my absolute pleasure to welcome you all to my interview with DL from Bad Wolves. Hello, welcome.
Hello, everybody. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, thank you so much for joining. Now, how are things going over there? How's your day been? I know you're a little bit chilly at the moment.
Oh yeah, it's starting to get cold, but everything's good. Everything's good. Everything's on the up and up, and we're excited. It's almost album release time, so I
Yes.
couldn't be more excited.
I'm very happy that you brought up the record because Dear Monsters does come out exactly a week from today. I know that it was a very intense, long process of having this record, and now everyone will soon be able to hear it. So, what's kind of running through your mind just being so close to that release date?
Really, just like you said, it was just a long process, and a lot of blood, sweat, and tears went into all of this, and it's just hard to for especially the average listener to understand what we're trying to get across, like big picture with the whole album, when there's just like a single or two songs that kind of get released. So it's, I think that the most exciting part for me or even the band, is just the fact that they're going to be able to listen to it as a whole and really kind of see the big picture and and understand the material a little bit more, when they kind of take the journey and see the peaks and valleys of the record.
And you've been sharing some snippets lately, which is super exciting. They're like 15 seconds of every song. You're doing that leading up to the release. I've been really enjoying the ones you've been putting out. So I was curious when it does come to actually putting the record together. I know there were so many of the long distance phone calls with the band, being in the studio, of course. What moment do you think was kind of the best? You spoke to Blood, Sweat, and Tears, but just one where you were all kind of just happiest in putting this thing together.
I really just think the whole process of the last kind of 2 weeks that we were in the studio together, where I was tracking the vocals, and we were really just kind of collaborating on every single song and putting every song under kind of like under a microscope, just working out arrangements, tailoring the songs to my vocals and stuff. Yeah, I think that process just in general was like refreshing to everybody in the band because um, not I mean, not everybody knows how things go in the studio, and sometimes honestly, more often than not, the studio can be kind of a stressful environment because there's deadlines, there's time crunches, there's a lot of money being involved. So yeah, sometimes the studio people butt heads and it could get kind of messy at times. But yeah, this was probably the most like refreshing album I've ever been a part of, just tracking or putting together, just because
That's
everybody,
amazing.
yeah, it was awesome. Everybody just got along great, and we always left at the end of the day feeling great about what we accomplished that day, and that was the thing. We always accomplished something every day, so it's definitely it's a refreshing take on a band. I've never been in this kind of situation with talented dudes and everybody kind of being a producer in their own right.
That's wonderful because you were announced as a part of the band only back in June, so it wasn't too long ago. So it seems like it was a fairly easy transition. So was it kind of like an instant vibe and you just clicked right away? It was as easy as that?
Not so much. I mean, we all kind of came from the same metal background, being in older bands, just kind of ships passing in the night. I mean, even the kind of Kyle and the guys that I didn't really know in the band coming into it, we all felt like we knew each other just because we were all from the same community, and you know, we played shows days after each other and on
Yeah.
different tours or whatever. So those kind of things kind of helped. But yeah, it did feel really organic, and there was like a obvious sense of chemistry once we actually did get into a room together and kind of were able to rehearse and just kind of shoot the shit with each other, and just kind of rekindle the relationships that we had in the past and all that stuff. So even beyond the rehearsal and all that, it was nice to like finally all sit down and have some drinks together and some dinner and just kind of catch up, and that's really where the obvious chemistry was.
I imagine how much of a relief that must have been. You know, how much is riding on the project, coming into the band. You just hope deep down that that just chemistry comes right back and it's smooth sailing. So the fact that it went that way, that's absolutely amazing.
Yeah, it felt like a family reunion or something. Like we should all have the same colored shirt on.
Oh, the ones like the cheesy ones you see, especially when you go to the
Yeah,
state. You know, they're all
yeah.
together. It's a camaraderie.
It's like everybody has this purple like Bad Wolves shirt. Bad Wolves reunion.
When it comes to the album, I'd love to hear a little bit more about Springfield Summer because that track is extremely personal to you. So tell me a little bit about that transition from being home with your family to again being a musician in the band and just the track, what it's about.
Yeah, so that was just, I've kind of been saying it. I don't know like if this is the best analogy, but it makes sense to me. It was just kind of like a ninth inning track, where it just kind of came in after the fact that we had felt like we were actually we wrapped up things in LA at Sparrow Sound. So we felt like we were done with the record. But I always say that I myself, I'm always in a creative mode, and so are the guys in the band. So we're always writing, even like, at the end of an album, it's like, if strike while the iron's hot. So like
Yeah.
if there's inspiration, or there's something going on, just write. And so I had come home. I'm a Massachusetts guy. The band's an LA based band. So I had come home from tracking vocals thinking that we're done with the album. And we were just kind of kicking around mixes and doing that, listening and just kind of like letting the material kind of simmer a little bit. And, I think at the end of the day, John and I and some folks at the label, and we all just kind of talked about stuff. And we felt like there was still a little bit something missing. There was like a little missing piece that we kind of wanted to touch upon. So John had that intro acoustic riff of Springfield Summer, and he sent it my way. And I just kind of threw down like no lyrics or anything, just like a scat kind of melody over it.
Yeah.
And it was like this nothing 30-second clip, and me and him just couldn't stop listening to it. And so so
you
so
have
like
to strike while the iron's hot. You have to.
That's it. Yeah. So like it being this like nothing thing, and us just like not being able to get away from it because we liked how it sounded so much, and it felt right. Like it just feels like a step forward in the band. Like it feels like something that the band hasn't done yet, and it's something that everybody in the band has kind of wanted to touch upon, because it's almost like a pop song, in a sense. So it's just kind of another layer to the band that they can just kind of do anything, which is the best thing about Bad Wolves. It's like they have some of the heaviest stuff I've ever been involved with, and they have some of like the softest stuff I've ever been involved
at
with.
times. So
yeah. So I mean, that's not something that a lot of acts can really do, and I think Bad Wolves kind of like excels at that type of crossover thing. So and just lyrically, it just touches on my transitioning from being home for the past 10-12 years, just producing and being a husband, father, and being behind the scenes, and then coming back and then doing the full-time musician thing, and just kind of the things that go along with that, the good, the bad, being away from loved ones. So it just touches on all those sappy things. And it was kind of it was kind of therapeutic for me, because it hasn't been the easiest kind of transitioning to the band. It's been great. It's been fun. But there are going to be struggles, and it just kind of touches on all that stuff. So.
No, it's wonderful too, because you can hear the emotion in the track as you listen to it, as cheesy as that sounds as someone who's listening to music. That's what you want, that's what you want these things to convey. So it's very easy to relate to as well. And I'm really happy there. Yeah, I'm really happy there too. You mentioned how the band can go really heavy, because you just shared a snippet of a track called Sacred Kiss, and that one completely rips. So the last thing I wanted to ask
it's a ripper.
It's so good. I literally heard 15 seconds. I had it on loop before the interview thinking, oh my gosh, I just want to hear this entire thing. So the last thing I wanted to ask you about, just speaking to that heaviness and just the world that we are both in right now, who were some of those bands earlier on who really just opened the door to heavier music for you? Who are the first ones that kind of come to mind?
So like the heaviest side of things for me, I'm just like a Meshuggah super fan.
Okay.
Yeah, I just like even their earlier stuff before they were doing like the 8-string stuff, like even their earlier what was it, Contradictions Collapse and the Nun EP and stuff, like they've always just been like 20 years ahead of everybody. It's crazy. They're not human. So they're definitely like, as far as heavy music is concerned, they're definitely like top tier for me. And then heavy with like melodic, a band that really kind of, I would say, kind of introduced me into the crossover of a heavy band doing big melodic choruses and stuff. I've always been like a huge fan of Seven Dust too.
Good pick.
So I had like before that, growing up, I was never really into rock or metal as a kid. I was into pop, R&B. I liked like Boyz II Men, Michael Jackson, All for One. Like I liked all this
What a
like
transition, eh?
yeah. So and then like I remember hearing my sister, she's 3-4 years older than me, and I remember down the hall at my parents' house, I remember her being into like kind of like the more like rock kind of stuff. And I remember like hearing Bitch or Black or something like that from that self-titled first Seven Dust record. And I was just like, what is this? It's like the heaviest, like it's the best songwriting I've heard like ever as far as like full band stuff. And yeah, I definitely stole that record from her. And we still talk about it now. It's like, you stole my seven, you still owe me a Seven Dust record. So yeah. Seven Dust, Meshuggah. Yeah, that's definitely like the kind of like the heavy stuff that I listen to.
That's
And then
amazing.
there's like obviously way heavier. I like Crowbar. I like all like the NOLA stuff, but yeah, Meshuggah for sure.
Oh, see, I love finding out little tidbits like that and little facts where people on the surface, like you think, oh, they'd have to love heavier music. And I mean, like, I love everything. It's super eclectic for my taste. So the fact that you did grow up on that pop stuff and now you're doing what you're doing and you can kind of almost feel some of those pop nuances in there. Like, that's such cool insight.
Yeah, a lot of pop, R&B, and a lot of hip hop growing up. And then I like started paying attention to the rock, and then I got into metal, and then I got lost in metal. So
and now you're here. As you see
yep, here we are.
Well, DL, I want to say thank you so much for taking the time for hopping on and just shooting the breeze about the forthcoming record. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you so much for having me.
Of course, to everybody watching, this has been DL from Bad Wolves. Be sure to check out aliciatoot.com for plenty more exclusive interviews and features, and we'll see you all next time. Bye, everybody.
See you.